Right, so today is the day we are going to try and get this running. Now, a lot of pre-work has gone into this. We've done quite a few things already because there's quite a lot of prep you want to do before just trying to dry fire an engine. I'm sure some of you are literally sitting there going, I'd have just stuck a battery on and wanged it around and hope for the best. Now, I didn't really want to do that because it's been sat for nigh on 14 years. Anything could be in the cylinders. We could have bent valves. We could have things in there that shouldn't be in there. The turbo could be seized. We don't know if it turns over by hand yet or not. So there is a lot that goes into it. So we went through a bit of a process. I'll talk you through it, but I do have a few clips of the pre-fires. We're going to do the actual firing here and now, wearing all my dirty gear, ready to go. This is no camera illusions or anything like that. You're here for the journey. Will it start? Will it not start? At the end of the video, we'll find out. I'm not leaving till either something comes out of this or something comes out the exhaust. We shall see. So, a couple of things I've already done. We bore scoped the cylinders 1 through 4 just to make sure there wasn't anything obvious like valves floating around loose, damage or anything like that. There was a few little marks, little bits of rust where it's just been sat for 14 years, but arguably it had an air filter on, so it was somewhat sealed. All the pipe work was on the intercooler system, so there shouldn't have been any issues. So we bore scoped them. They were absolutely all right at best. Then we came to the point in which we were happy to try and manually turn it over by hand on the crank. Now, at first, we couldn't get this to work, so we thought it was seized, basically, or frozen. It would not turn a millimetre. I mean, we didn't have a massive bar on it, but obviously I don't want to force it round. It should go freely, and it didn't, which, I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed, but I got it to a point where I was just rocking the bar a tiny bit, just to see if I could free it up. I know you're only supposed to do it the way it travels, but tiny rock. And I noticed that these 2 cam pulleys were moving ever so slightly, and I was thinking, well, if they're moving, then maybe it's not seized. Then I noticed that the alternator pulley was solid. It wasn't going anywhere. So I thought, well, there's no harm in taking off the alternator belt, just in case the alternator's seized. So I freed the alternator off. Could I get the belt off? I'm not even lying to you, I had to get a flat-headed screwdriver and a hammer and tap on the underside of the belt. I didn't score the pulleys or anything, but that belt was literally perished to the metal. It would not come off. I'm just thinking I've got the belt here, so I'll show you. The belt, if rubber could rust, honestly, this thing was, get yourself out of the frame, this thing was rotten. It was absolutely, you can see where the metal's sort of rusted onto the belt, and it was seized solid onto the alternator. So I thought, well, maybe the belt had rusted to the pulleys and the pulleys wouldn't turn. So we got that off. The alternator was stuck, seized more than any alternator I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, if you look at the alternator, it looks new. So you've got arguably a new 14-year-old alternator, seized solid, which was a relief because I guess we found something that was seized. So I've then gone to hand turn over the engine. Would you believe it? Turned over. So I'd done a full revolution. Sweet, it turns over, which was a massive relief. Then we moved on to, I've got it written down so I know what order we did it. We then moved on to removing the alternator belt. We've done that. That was seized. Turns over by hand. That was it. We fitted a battery. So we put a battery on. Now, the reason we did this, we weren't going to try and fire it. We wanted to make sure that everything was, obviously I checked everything was plugged in first. There wasn't any loose cables. Didn't want to liven anything up that shouldn't have been livened up. We put power on. Then I went to the alternator, the starter motor, and I took off the trigger wire. So this should be wired in. Now, I say should be because everything's plugged in. So my thought process was that it was almost ready to go. So I turn the key, and then I wanted to see that when I went to flick it over as if I was going to start it, I wanted to make sure that there was a 12-volt feed going to that starter motor. There was. So, in my mind, everything is wired up as it should be. So the starter motor, providing the starter motor works, because we took it out of this tub, I kept this just to show you. So this tub was sat in the garage with a starter motor in. So on the floor, covered in water and salt and looking absolutely terrible. So we checked it was free. We didn't juice it up because at the end of the day I haven't got another one, so we just stuck it in. And that we put the wire back on, so it was ready to go when we got to that point. Now, if you remember, no radiator, and we took the 200 millilitres of oil that was in the engine out of the engine. So at this stage, no oil in the engine, no coolant. So then we had to do a few other steps. There was a few other things I wanted to check before we moved on. So after that, we wanted to check that the fuel pump worked, because obviously if we have no fuel pressure, it's never going to start. So again, key on. Now we actually, at this point, we dipped the tank and there was no fuel in there, or very little, not enough to meet the pickup. So we knew there was no fuel going to come through. All the lines were dry. We had them off just to be safe. Turned it on, went to turn it over, you could hear the fuel pump prime. So we knew we were good from that perspective. So we had some fuel pressure. The fuel lines absolutely perished, but I'll come back to that in a minute because we did that a bit later on. So we knew we had a potential starter motor and we had fuel pressure. So from the electrical perspective, it was ready to go, but it's not that simple. We then moved on to doing oil and a timing belt. So I've got the old timing belt up here. Again, most of you will probably say you'd have just stuck this on and ran it, but at the end of the day, this engine has a value. And if the belt snapped, and a new belt was 30 quid, don't get me wrong, if I use the engine in anything else, I'm going to completely go through it and swap everything. But for the sake of a £30 belt over this 14-year-old belt, after seeing the alternator belt, this was getting swapped. And it's not, I mean, there's no particular cracking, but there's no branding on it. It has rust on both sides, and it's just a bit rough. So swap that, filled it full of oil. We then hand turned it over to allow it to build up some oil pressure. Once that was done, and I have a video of this for you, we then moved on to a dry fire with no spark plugs in and no fuel. So we had the injectors unplugged, we had these out, spark plugs out, just to allow it to turn over, just so we could hear it, make sure it sounded right. Let's go and have a listen, shall we? So we have no petrol. This is solely just for the principle of seeing if it turns over with a new camera, right? You ready? I'm scared. Oh, it turned over! I turned it off now. Ready? So there you have it. She turns over, sounds all right, sounds weird because obviously it hasn't got any spark plugs in, so there's no compression because it's not building up any compression. So it turns over absolutely lovely, as good as you could expect an engine that hasn't ran for 14 years to roll over. So now we know the electrics work, we know we have the fundamentals, so we now need to check things. So put a spark plug in, put it to a grounded source on each single one, and we had a spark at every single one. So we know that that works. Put the spark plugs back in, put the HT leads back in. So from that perspective, as far as I'm concerned, that was done for the time being. We then moved on to, what did we do next? We ran new fuel line. Now, the reason we did that, much like all the belts, it was rubber. And the moment you gave it a little bend, you could see cracks in it, you could see the braid. It was an absolute mess. Now, I would recommend for people just to check what was the flow and what was the return, because we came to swap it, and then when we went to test to make sure we didn't have any leaks before we did any starting, we had fuel absolutely running out. We had the return, or what we thought was the return, into a bucket just so that we could measure what was coming out, make sure the colour was good and all that kind of stuff. And fuel was hemorrhaging out. And we thought, that can't be right. So we jumped on Google, and it was actually piped up back to front. So it was never building pressure. It was just allowing the fuel pressure to come through the rail, and then straight out the feed pipe. So once we'd flipped it over, it was then building pressure. Whilst the fuel rail was off, we had a look inside. It was full of crud. I mean, you can imagine a steel fuel line. It's rusty on the outside. It's rusty on the inside. The injectors, when you cycle them, brown liquid was coming out. So we sent those to Salt and Pepper Racing. I've actually got a video, sneaky video from him, where he does testing. He ultrasonic cleaned them, tested them, and he also done us a flow chart to show that they were all firing and providing the same amount volume-wise per cylinder. Let's take a look at that video now. So a massive thank you to Salt and Pepper Racing for doing those. If you want to get your injectors tested, cleaned, serviced, he is the man. All details down in the description if you want to get in hold of him, or if you want to go watch him up Santa Pod in that epic Nova running some serious times, then go check him out. He'll be at Door Slammers, he'll be at 10 of the Best, he'll be running all of the shows throughout the year. Go give him, show your support. So now we know that the injectors are not an issue because they are perfectly clean. We're not going to blow a load of crud through. None of them are going to be blocked. The fueling system is bang on. So we've got spark. We've got fuel. We know it turns over. So what could we have? We are at the point now where we need to do a test run. Are you ready to do a test run? So as far as I'm concerned, this should now run. Let me go and grab the key and we'll have a go. There's no reason why this should not run. It turns over. We've proved it turns over with no plugs in and no fuel. Now we've got pressure at the rail. We have spark. The starter motor works. I mean, first time would be pretty epic. I've taken the pipe off just so we have control. If there's any flames shooting out, at least I can see them so I can just quickly kill it. Because I am now on my own and it's 1:30 in the morning and there's no neighbours here, so that's fine. But if I set the place on fire and burn, then there's no one actually to save me. So enough of that. Ready? It turns over. It definitely turns over. We'll give it one more. Just in case the fuel wasn't quite there. Let's try again. Oh, excuse you. Right, so we have an issue. Now, the only thing I haven't actually checked is that the plugs, the HT leads, were on the correct port. They're right on the top because they're numbered, but at the other end I didn't see any numbers, and just to be certain I'm going to go and check them quickly. Right, so I found a couple of the leads the wrong way round. Actually, technically they're all the wrong way round. They're all over one and one was the other side. But so it wouldn't have been firing at the right time, so hopefully, fingers crossed, second time lucky. I'm excited. We've definitely got fuel, we've definitely got spark, and hopefully now, well, we've got spark in the right order. That would be a good start. Come on! I believe in you. You ready? Oh, fire extinguisher ready. 3, 2, 1. Yes! She's running! Oh, it sounds nice. Oh! She runs! I didn't want to leave it running because we don't have a radiator connected. I haven't got the intercooler connected, so it's going to run like a bag anyway. I don't want it to get too hot because it hasn't got any coolant in the system, but it runs! Oh, it's a shame we're not going to keep it in this kit. Oh, do you know, I have not slept for pretty much the past 10 days just thinking about doing this, because things you find and the finish where there's a few bolts missing and things broken and things not in the right order, and just the fact that it's sat for best part of nearly 14 years, honestly, my heart is pounding. Yeah, elated, absolutely elated. I mean, still going to pull it out, still probably going to go through it when we come to find a use for it, but its journey has finished in this Robin Hood, and I bid this farewell. But we're going to pull that lump out, and we are not done with it yet. There is a project, we haven't picked one yet, there's nothing it's going into yet. However, I have a lovely place for it right under that bench, ready for when the right thing pops up. If you think you may have something suitable that you're not using, feel free to drop me a message. I'm not made of money, but I do buy projects. Yep, she runs. What more can I say? But thanks for joining me on the journey, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.